times, not continuously, so it was a good agreement with the village. They were agreeable to not a complete take and pay type contract. And then additionally, the town had to make renovations to the building out there and add an additional blending pump, additional controls, so we can blend enough water when we need it. So we were able to do all those things and lift all the violations that was on that water supply. So right now, we don't really have any violations listed for there. And it was a big thing, because we had those ever since that well field went in, which is plus 25 years ago now. We were under violation, and ever since we've done that, which was a few years ago, we have not been in violation, and you've been able to let, without that toll, John Jay School was able to connect, because we do sell water to Shenandoah, and that was part of that process, and Toll has been able to add their additional units out there, because that water, we can now expand the system for them.
All right, so the Snook well field is by the Van Wyck house, correct?
Correct.
At the intersection of 84 and Route 9.
Absolutely.
So when it snows a lot of salt gets on the road, it gets into the aquifer, and that well field creates the situation you were talking about. So what we did was we worked with the village of Fishkill, who has their wells just south of that area, right, and we blend water with the village of Fishkill to lower those sodium rates. Is that an accurate statement?
That's 100% accurate, yes.
And then when we added the bigger pump and those control systems, we were able to get off the remedial action from the health department.
Correct.
Okay.
Right.
I'd like to follow up with the interconnection that was supposed to happen, that was supposed to cost $5.6 million. We've got it down to about less than $1 million. We're going to use federal ARPA money to pay for it with no cost to taxpayers. Can you elaborate what that means?
I sure can. So this is a different water supply. This is the Brinkerhoff water supply. Brinkerhoff water supply was built by Seymour Arkway in the 60s for the Duchess Park development, and it was a water supply just for the Duchess Park development. But the wells there had a high volume of water. The town assumed the operation from Seymour sometime in the late 70s, early 80s, and as a result, they connected the surrounding people who needed water, Deer Crossing, Elm Crest, all the areas around here. You think of the development of Cedar Hill, the upper people on Cedar Hill, mm-hmm. Cedar Hill. So Avionis, it expanded it a lot. And there was never a storage tank associated with that water supply. We were always in violation of not having ample storage. I went to meetings with the health department at the Brinkerhoff School about it for forever. And the interconnection that you're talking about allows, whereas the Snook Merritt didn't always, because of their chloride issues, they didn't have as much water as Brinkerhoff had, but they had a huge storage tank up on the hill behind the gap. So the interconnection will allow, it's a tying of the two systems during emergencies, so when Brinkerhoff needs water during an emergency, either a serious water main break or a power outage or some other catastrophe at the well field, the interconnection will allow the water to come out of the 1,000,000-gallon-a-day storage tank and feed the residents of Brinkerhoff so they don't go out of water for days on end. And the interconnection will be located right by the convenient mark there. It's piped. It's all but done. We're just waiting for the contractor to get some remaining control issues before it can be put into service.
So that would be the convenience store across the street from Doug Phillips Park?
Absolutely, yes.
And I've seen recently they put the electric meter in there, so that means they're close to this?
They're moving along. The project was slowed down. There was some parts, taking time to get parts and those type of things, but it is moving along. I don't believe any extras.
So when I initially came into office, this $5.6 million plan, you and me reviewed it with the health department. We got it down to remediating both these problems for around $1 million?
Yeah, I believe that's what that bid is, yes.
Okay.
So, And you know, you've done a lot of other,
So, yeah, I was going to get into that. How about we stick with Brickerhoff?
Before we go that, I'm sure the residents, when they hear about a project that could cost $5.6 million and it ends up costing $1 million, I'm assuming a lot of residents might naturally think that that means that the scale of the project shrank or that the services rendered were of a lower quality. Can you explain to the residents how a $5.6 million project ended up only costing around $1 million, all things told, what the shift in perspective was or the procedure was that made the cost go down without decreasing the quality of the overall project?
a lot of the frills came out of, the original job had a lot of frills in it. Just like if you go down to a car dealership and you want to buy a car, there's a lot of bells and whistles that everything seems nice, but just adds up the price of the car.
And in addition, it also adds up the cost of
And
maintenance
it
too,
adds
doesn't
up the
it?
price of the, it adds up the price of the car, and it adds up the maintenance. And it doesn't change the car's ability to get from point A to point B, all right? We have what's in place. We'll do what we need it to do, provide the people of Brinkerhoff with water during an emergency. But it doesn't have a lot of the bells and whistles and controls and things like that that system had. That system had a redundancy line programmed into it. It had some other things, and I don't remember that because that was a long time ago off the top of my head. But it was I'm not saying it was a bad plan. It just had a lot of
No,
extras
it certainly
in
sounds like it was well-intentioned, but it contained a lot more than was immediately going to be useful.
A lot more than we have
And
here.
which, as you pointed out, just astronomically increased what the cost to
Right.
the taxpayers would have been.
It did, absolutely.
Okay, thank you, Greg. So this Brickerhoff Water District is one of our first water districts and sewer districts in the town of Fishkill, where the developer put up 1,000+ homes, didn't make any money on the water and sewer, and walked away, and the town ended up inheriting it. Is that an accurate statement?
I would say that's pretty close to being accurate, yeah.
And after all these years, now it's time to do some maintenance?
Well, you've started with this years ago. I mean,
So let's
when you
focus on what's been
Yeah,
completed.
the
in the-
last 6 years or so, like you say, the system, it's the original building, it was original voltages, original electrical system. We've replaced the entire electrical system and changed the voltage from, so it doesn't sound like a lot, but we went from 240 to 480, which generates a lot less heat on a lot of our different controls and things like that. It's been very helpful. And then we repiped the entire inside of the building because the piping was old and was giving us problems with leaks and breaks and things like that. And one of the things that you have to remember about Brinkerhoff Water, because there is no storage tank, and if I know you're all familiar with the geography of Brinkerhoff, you're down by the creek with a lot of homes, and then you're way up on top of the hill with a lot of homes. And it's got what they have, a hydropneumatic system, which means that you have to have enough pressure in the pressure tanks down by the ball fields to push the water up the hill. So when you run that, it used to come on and off, just like if you have a well in your basement. Come on at one pressure, off at another pressure, on and off. And it used to create, that on and off of the pumps would create some distribution problems or pump failure problems. So what we did when we redid the electrical system, we put in variable speed pumps that come on and they speed up as the water demand goes up, and then they slow down as the water demand slows down. So the pumps don't cycle on and off. They come on and they run for a long time. A pretty expensive system. So that was also done. We have a chlorine feed system that was redone. We now have a chlorine analyzer. So if someone was to call me and say, we have we had some, E. coli, somebody had E. coli at the Brinkerhoff school, and what was your residual at 2 o'clock on Tuesday afternoon? I can look at a chart and see all that. Then it's a helpful tool for someone to come and see what our residual was. You use chlorine for disinfection. It's a critical component of water treatment. So that was installed, plus the flow-paced chlorine system, which has been very, very helpful in keeping the chlorine levels. You want them high enough to perform disinfectant. You don't want it too high that people complain and taste chlorine.
I apologize, what was that again?
The chlorine system.
You said fluoride or something?
No, chlorine.
Okay,
Chlorine.
okay.
all right? It's disinfectant for it. And we have a flow pay system, and then...
That was it, flow pay system, what is that?
Flow pay system, that means as our pumps speed up to meet the demand, so does the chlorine injection system. As the pumps slow down, the chlorine injection system slows down.
And that's part of the chloride feed system and...
Chlorine feed system. And the old system was you fed in the same amount of chlorine no matter what the pumps delivered. So you had to jack the system, the chlorine feeds up high to make sure you disinfected the water. And what would happen was you would have people complaining of high chlorine tastes and taste and aesthetic quality problems with the water.
Whereas now this is an automated system that makes sure
It's-
that the correct amount of chlorine is going,
That's exactly right.
regardless of the flow rate or the demand.
Correct.
Excellent.
Correct. And then we had a 35-year-old generator that was replaced 3 years ago with a brand-new generator, brand-new transfer switch. So when there's a power failure, we guaranteed we have a good generator to come on and run.
Excellent.
And the last but not least, and if I'm talking too much...
No, you're going to keep talking.
I like the water and sewer, it's what I do. But the Brinkerhoff well field is located on the south side of Route 82, all right? The bulk of the distribution customers are on the north side of Route 82. So we had the original builder of the system put 2 feed lines under Route 82, and they put the 2 big lines about this far apart.
Yep.
And they put it in what they called the cattle crossing, which in the old days, the cattle would cross through this cement trough and to get from one side of the Route 82 to the other. The water mains were in there. We had a leak in there, and the water mains, it became obvious we fixed the leak, but if there was ever a serious leak under the road, it would be almost impossible to repair it without having days and days of a water outage. So we presented a plan to the town board, who approved it, was that we put valves in over on the Wedgewood Drive on the other side of the school, on the other side from the school, so that if we ever had a leak on one line, we could isolate that line, shut it off, and feed water through the other line, so we wouldn't have an outage, a prolonged outage while we were fixing the line. Now,
So basically, I was there when we had the break. The pipes are right on top of each other.
correct,
There's no way, it's going to take you at least 2 weeks to fix something like that.
absolutely.
So there's 2 pipes, depending on what pipe it is, no one would lose water, correct? Depending.
Correct.
But if it's the wrong pipe, which we don't know, Elm Crest, that apartment complex could lose water, and we would have to bring trucks in to feed them water.
Or we could temporary feed them from a hydrant there, yes.
From a hydrant?
Right.
Okay, so 90% of the district will have water, even if one of those 2 pipes broke.
Absolutely. And not that any water customer is unimportant, but you do have a nursing home that's part of that distribution system, and you do have an elementary school. So those are, in the water industry, you call those critical customers, and they would both be able to be supplied water if we had this. Now, the second part of that plan, which is important, is the new firehouse went in, right? They tapped the water main that was in the Dutchess Park Plaza in front of Job Lots, I think that's Job Lots. And they ran the water main out under 8252 to the firehouse, an 8-inch water main. So now, if we can extend, it's all been approved, that the engineering has been done by the town and approved by the health department, and now we have to get the deli, the new deli, and the storage people to help contribute to it. And if we were to run a water main down the south side of that road and tie into the water main there by the Convenient Mart, you would have a bypass around the whole Cow Pass, we call it the Cow Pass water system. So you would then have a robust system that was looped.
So the price varies on that. What did we say we could do that for, about 400?
Yes, but that was a couple of years ago, so I don't know where the construction costs have gone on that.
Okay, so this is what we've done in the Brinkerhoff Water District alone.
Correct.
Now, what is I have our 5-year capital plan here. I submitted a budget yesterday to the town clerk. The town board will be voting on these things. So let me get to water here. Roundabout, sewer. So we got water, Beacon Hills, we get to that. Okay, Brookerhoff Well House. It's not in for the next year, but there's, it says replace 5,000 gallon contact tank, $117,000. What is that?
So there are, as I said, previously mentioned, there's pressure tanks underground, hydropneumatic tanks that carry about 140 pounds pressure on them. There's steel tanks, lifespan of them realistically is 20 or 25 years. They've been there longer than that. If I thought they were in a state of bursting at any moment, I would tell you now, but it's good common practice to plan on replacing these tanks so you don't have an emergency where it costs you a lot of money.
Well,
So that's
obviously,
what
you
that
want to
is.
replace them before
Before.
you have the situation where they're leaking or they burst.
That's correct.
Is it made out of concrete, metal? What is it made
It's a
out of?
steel tank,
It's a steel tank. How thick is the steel?
steel coated tank. I'm not 100% sure what that is.
Okay.
Is that in the 2027 capital?
I got it in 2027, yes.
And who pays that? The users pay that, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So anybody watching from home, if you have your own private well and your private sewer, really this is not your concern. If you're in a sewer or water district or one of each, these are infrastructures that only the districts are responsible for, similar to like a fire department, library district, school district. And now that we've completed all the town tasks, now the town is going to start focusing on these districts to bring everything up to par. What else do we got going on? I got a well house, hypermagnetic 15,000 gallon tank. That's 1 and 2. There's 2 tanks?
There's actually 3 underground tanks there. There's 2 15,000 gallon tanks and there's a 5,000 gallon tank. And that, part of that whole water supply there was redone after the town took it over with the idea that at some point they were going to have town-wide water in a storage tank someplace and do away with all these underground tanks and maybe have just one for chlorine detention. That plan never went through, so now we have these 3 underground steel tanks that are a liability.
Okay. And what is the total for all 3 of those?
I don't know what the capital costs are on that.
Okay.
I remember meeting with them and I don't have it in front of me, I'm sorry.
Another one is Brookerhoff Distribution System, replace large system valves. It's $300,000. What is that?
I know we talked about, I think they were the valves we put in already.
These might be done?
They might be done, yes.
Okay, I'll check on that. It was $300,000?
No, you did it for, I think my price was $125,000.
There you go, saving the taxpayers' money, doing it
Right,
in-house.
right.
Okay, so I can get rid of that guy there. And then I guess you want to redo the pump house, but that's going to be that's $325,000, that'll be something last.
Yeah, that's just to redo the building. We went through those capital costs. Maybe we want to look at those again.
So really, the Brookerhoff Water District's problems are the loop system needs to be done,
The loop system needs to be done,
those tanks replaced.
the tanks replaced, and that should be part of the overall plan. And the other item that's looming over everyone's head are the PFOs and PFOAs. Our numbers are under 5. The EPA has indicated their new number. Right now, there are no EPA limits. They have a recommended limit of like 50 parts per trillion, but they have said going out in 2 years, they're going to change that number to 4. All right, New York State has the toughest limits in the country. Their limit is 10. We're under 10, and if I was to show you the wells right now, some days when we have to sample them quarterly, some days they're 4.5, some days they're 5, sometimes they're less than 4. So there's somewhat of liability there. There is some considerations that the EPA may extend the deadline for enforcing those limits.
What are the PFOAs in the Snook well field? What are those numbers there?
Like 4.6.
Same thing?
Same thing, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the town board is going to have a public hearing about ending the town well testing law.
Okay.
PFOAs were never in that law, correct?
I've had a couple of questions on that, and they do not include it. It's it's probably an $800 scan right now for the parameters that you have in there, and PFOs and PFOAs are not included in that, and that would make that scan go to like $1,500.
Gotcha. Wow. Okay. All right. So
if you wanted to include that.
So Brickerhoff doesn't have pump stations for water?
No.
Is that pneumatic system?
It's a pneumatic system. All the pumps are right at the well field.
So if they were going to change that design, would that new design have to include pump stations then?
I'm not sure what new design.
You remember you said they were going to, the previous,
Oh, yeah, well, it would not have pump stations. It would pump water to a storage tank. Depending on the elevation of the storage tank, there may not be booster stations. But that plan never got off the ground, so I don't know the specifics of it.
I'm just thinking pump stations with Beacon Hills, so.
Yeah, right.
I'm glad to hear Brickerhoff doesn't have any of these things, so that's a good thing, because they're $500,000 each.
And that is a good question for if we ever do look to put in a storage tank for Brickerhoff. It has to be high enough that the people up in the higher elevations have more than pressure than they have now.
And then the Snook well field, the people that live on Merritt Boulevard, their tank,
is way up on the hill behind the gap.
and they don't have any pump,
They have 100 pounds, in excess of 100 pounds water main
They're
pressure
good.
on all the water mains.
all right. So hypothetically, we get the interconnection in, next town board is going to have to deal with these PFOs or whatever it is.
Correct.
The levels are high on both those two well fields.
Right.
Is it possible to draw more water from the village to bring those rates down? How is the village water on the PFOs?
I'm not completely, I think the village levels are good, but my feelings are one of the concerns they have about implementing these new limits, it's going to affect a lot of people. And they say there'll be funding available. The treatment for PFOs and PFOAs is not as complicated as it is for chlorides or salts or other parameters. It's carbon filtration. So, and I think there will be, they should, and I don't know, this is not in my game, but there should be funding available for that. If you ever have to put in carbon filtration, there would be funds available for that.
Gotcha. All right, so we're done with Brickerhoff, we're done with Snook. Let's go Roundabout Water District. We buy water from the city of Beacon for that district?
You buy water from the city of Beacon. It's a meter vault. The water main comes through the prison grounds, goes under 84 by the stadium, comes out there by the stadium and feeds the whole distribution system. The pressure there is good. There's no pressure problems. We had a situation there maybe 8-10 years ago where there was a water main break on an easement over by Briarwood, and the easement runs through a very wooded, swampy area, and it took a very long time to fix the leak. And the way the distribution is set up there, you have a populous area there, where Hudson View Apartments are, and the new subdivisions there where Toll is put in, and where Overlook Point is, and those things. And then you have a heavy populated area over off Old Castle Point Road, the new subdivision there where up by Castle Point and down by Riverwalk. And that easement that runs through the swamp connects both of those. And the pipe that goes through the swamp was not in a good condition. And to fix that leak, due to the swamp and everything.
So who owned that pipe in the swamp area?
Well, all of Roundabout was built by a private developer.
Another one.
And then turned it over to the town, and not nearly as good a condition as Brinkerhoff was.
Got it.
It was in tough condition. When the town took that system over, it was fed by wells, and the water was, there wasn't very much of it, and what there was not a very good quality. So we immediately went to a connection, an emergency connection to the city of Beacon over by the toll booths, and then the town eventually went to a long-term plan, but all the piping and stuff was done by the developer, was developer installed equipment, you know, not to perfect conditions. So when we saw the difficulties we had repairing this pipe, we had maybe a 12-hour outage. And what we've done now, if that pipe ever goes bad again, because the swamp is still there, you know, we've cut all the trees down and stuff, but it's still problematic, we can quickly shut that pipe off and then temporarily feed around the pipe with some temporary hosing and pipes, which we have available, and get the people back in water within a few hours, which is, you know, fairly doable, and then fix the leak with nobody being out of water. It was an expensive bypass system, but it was probably $40,000 or $50,000 to do.
Was that the one we did?
Yes, that's the one you did, yes.
So what did we do? We
put a hydrant there on Briarwood, off the back of Briarwood dead end. We put a valve in to isolate the water main, and then we purchased all the hoses and equipment to run off a hydrant on the other side so we can get water.
So if there's a break, we have to take a fire hose to connect them and
That's
turn the water on?
correct, right.
Okay.
But the people will have water.
The
They
people
won't be
will
out
have
of
water.
water for 12, 15 hours.
What other improvements have we made in that water district, you and me?
Well, for that district, you took the old storage tank down. When they connected with the permanent line from Beacon, they left an old storage tank online by the nursing home, and the storage tank served no purpose, and it was all leaking and falling apart. So the decision was made to take the tank offline, which was a good decision, but they never took the storage tank down. So there was a 300,000-gallon elevated storage tank in the backyard of the nursing home that was a real safety hazard. So, you know, you had somebody come in, a salvage company come in and take the hydrant down and clean up all around the area.
Was that about 100 grand?
You know what, I'm not 100% sure, but somewhere's around, I think it was 108, something like that.
Did we put any new generators in Briarwood?
The way the system is set up for water there, we do not need generators for the Roundabout water.
And do we make any other improvements for Roundabout?
Yeah, the vault where the meter is from Beacon, since the day it went in, would fill up with water considerably. You had the vault sealed up, so it doesn't, the meter and all the piping and everything isn't always underwater, which
Gotcha.
was a requirement of the health department, and just good, safe practice.
All right, so we're done with Roundabout. Let's go to Blodgett. What is the general area of Blodgett? I know the town, but
Blodgett Road Water District it's an interesting water district. It includes the mobile station / I don't think it's a mobile station, the car wash out on Route 9, all right? It includes Walmart, it includes Sam's, it includes, there's a over 55 community in the back that is toll.
Regency. Okay.
And there's a hotel there that it includes, and I can't think of the name of it.
Okay.
And then there was a Kentucky Fried Chicken / root beer store.
So some commercial.
Pardon me?
So basically.
It's all
Commercial.
A lot
It's
of
all
commercial.
commercial,
Oh,
right.
okay, that's, okay.
So it's all of that, plus, on the other side of the road, it includes the Gap. So the Gap is in the Blodgett Road
Gotcha,
Water District.
good.
All the customers on the west side of Route 9 that are in the Blodgett have a master meter. The Gap has its own meter, so in order to get the numbers, you have to add the two meters together. It's confusing over there because the Boston Chicken place is not in the Gap, but the Kentucky Fried Chicken is. And I think the Boston Chicken place is getting ready to be Chick-fil-A, but I'm not 100%.
Yes.
You guys would know better than me.
Yes.
But it's confusing over there what are Blodgett customers and what aren't.
Will that be in the Blodgett district?
No, the Chick-fil-A will not be,
Okay.
will not be.
So what improvements have we made in the last 6 years in Blodgett? Any?
Well, we really haven't done a lot of improvements there because it's all commercial. It's all gravity from the village. It buys its water from the village. Biggest thing we've had there is to make sure that the hotel and the people that are on board maintain their RPZs and backflow preventers. And if there's a water leak or something, we take care of fixing it.
And there's no pump-up station for these
No,
guys?
nothing there, right.
All right, let's go to the Beacon Hills Water District. It's a small development on Beacon Hills. My predecessor was able to get a $3 million loan for a $5.6 million project to do the water lines, correct?
Correct.
We completed the water lines, we did all the drainage, and we repaved all the roads, and that area is in pretty good shape for the next 30, 40 years, but there's this is where I get the pump-up station in my mind because of the water
Yes, there's
districts.
three booster stations, correct.
Three booster stations, and they're average about 500 grand each to fix, correct?
Correct.
All right.
Well, the big thing that we've done there is, first of all, the water main project was instrumental there. The water mains before the replacement were 2-inch galvanized pipes, which are this big. There's 300 homes down there. So now they have 8-inch ductile iron pipe, far less leaks. I was on the phone with you when you first started. I was on the phone with you 7 times a month with water leaks and problems. They've been resolved. Because of the drastic change in elevations there, they have a series of booster stations, but none of them were ever installed with generators. So even after we had all the new water mains and the residents were happy because they weren't out of water with leaks all the time and they had better pressure and better quality water. The galvanized water mains tend to leave rusty water behind for the customers. They still, when they would go out of power, they would have no water, the upper elevations. And the other part of Beacon Hills, as I'm sure you all know, is there's a lot of trees. So when the wind blows, there's a lot of power outages. So you were able to get money for 2 generators on the lower and the upper booster stations, what has reduced the amount of outages completely.
So there's 2 generators there.
Right.
How many generators do we buy altogether? Do you remember?
At the time, yeah, I do. At the time, you bought 1 for Brinkerhoff, 2 for Beacon Hills, and 1 for the Glenham district, which was huge because I'll get ahead of yours because
Yeah, let's stick with Beacon Hills. So
okay,
even though there's 3 pump stations, it only needs 2 generators.
correct.
Okay, so we don't waste time on that. So basically, the only problem with the Beacon Hills Water District are that we have 3 pump stations, all 3 need to be done within 10 years?
So just back up here, you have 3 booster stations. 2 of those were redone in the late 80s, okay? They're in decent shape. With a little bit of work from us, we keep them running. 1, the 3rd booster station on, I'll call it Sunnyside, is in very poor condition and needs to be, it's got an old hydromatic tank, like we just talked about at Brinkerhoff, that's underground. It's not a huge tank, it's only a couple thousand gallons. But if it goes bad, the people who are served by that pump station go out of water. So that pump station, if I was going to prioritize your capital plan, I would go to that station first, put a booster system like you have comparable to the other 2, and then put a generator there and hook it up like you have the other 2.
So these 3 generators, if one goes, only certain houses lose water?
So,
Not the whole thing?
not the whole thing, right.
All right.
Right.
And the other 2, you can make work for quite a bit?
For quite a while, yes.
All right, so the priority is Sunnyside.
Sunnyside.
All
yes.
right. You got to understand with this water district, it's not that big. And even though they got a $3 million discount from the state, they're still paying like $400 more a year for water.
Yeah.
So we have to be considerate of their
Absolutely.
economic situation.
Absolutely.
All right, so I guess our last water district is Glenham?
Glenham is your oldest water district.
Okay.
All right, and the town's always had it, as far as I know. And you buy your water from the village of Fishkill, and all the water comes from the village of Fishkill and goes to a booster station over by the firehouse that pressurizes the whole system. And Beacon Hills gets its water from the Glenham the Glenham Water District.
So the pipe goes right through there to
The
them?
pipe goes, and that was this improvement doesn't fit in with Glenham, and it doesn't fit in with Beacon Hills. But when they ran the new bridge over to Beacon Hills, we made sure they gave us all new valves and hydrants and well, obviously they gave us a new pipe because it hangs from the bridge. But that was a big improvement for both districts when they put the bridge over Fishkill Creek.
So what do they do, valves, pipes?
Valves and pipes and hydrants.
Hydrants? And we got that gratis from the county?
Yes,
Because you asked for it?
yes.
Thank you, sir.
And additionally, as I was saying before, I kind of jumped around on you, and I apologize. All the water goes through a pump station at Glenham, all right? It's an underground station. It never had a generator. So when there was a power outage, the residents of Glenham would have low water pressure. It didn't affect if you lived on Old Glenham Road or if you were at Town Hall. You may not even notice it, or if you were, in Van Steuben, over in that area. But if you lived up on the top of Mowerbrook or Fox Hill, you would be out of water. All right, so one of the generators that you were able to find money to buy was for there, and now there's a generator on that station. So if there's a power outage, you have water for the Glenham Water District.
So, and that Glenham water, that Glenham pump house, are there any pump-up systems in the Glenham Water District?
No, that's the only system.
That's the only system. So, I'm sorry. Yeah,
No,
So the town of Fishkill has gotten approval to rebuild the booster station from the health department.
Right.
And the town,
Your engineer at the time drew up plans and got them approved by the Dutchess County Health Department to replace that booster station.
okay. And that's the only thing that needs to be done in that Glenham Water
It's the
District?
only critical item that needs to
Only
be done.
critical item. So the town of Fishkill does have money to pay for that?
Right.
So it's just a matter of time, maybe next year or the year after that we do that.
The infrastructure in Glenham is old. The pipes are old, the valves are old, but it's complicated just to start replacing water mains because they're old. But
Exactly.
You should know that they are old.
Okay, so we've completed all the water stuff in the town of Fishkill. So real quick, not real quick, but let's review. We have 2 sewer districts. The first one is Roundabout. Give us a little update on Roundabout on 9D.
Well, Roundabout was built in 2009. The existing sewer system, again, it was an old sewer plant that was built by the developers, and when the town took it over, the only option was to just dismantle it and build a new plant.
Was it on the same site?
Same site.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, exact same site. And
All right, so that's built, in that sewer district, are there pump-up stations that need to be,
Yes.
booster stations that need to be
for-
upgraded?
There's sewage pump stations. There's one on Riverwalk. There's one on Briarwood. There's one up for the Castle Point people. Up on Huber, I call them the Castle, that whole subdivision up there, there's a pump
Yep,
station.
I know where that is, right in the corner, okay.
And they all pump to the sewer plant.
They all pump to the sewer plant. And what are the conditions of those 3 pump stations?
The Riverwalk one was put in when Kreisberg developed those. It's certainly not in a state of an emergency right now. The Briarwood station is an old station. That was one that was took over, but we put through our O&M budget that you guys approved over the years, we keep it up in a pretty good condition, so it's not in a state of, it's not like in an emergency condition. I mean, with time, you have to factor it into a replacement program or an upgrade program, but there's nothing right now.
So I have it down here as you need a new wet well mounted station with larger pumps. Is that accurate?
That would be the Briarwood station.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at right now.
Yeah.
Is
Right?
it-
I mean, that would be a plan for the future, yes.
But it's not
Not,
an emergency.
right.
And what was the other station?
The Riverwalk station, which is down by the end of subdivision of what Kreisberg put in off of Old Castle Point Road. And then when...
Is that one in good shape?
It's in okay shape because it's not that terribly old, like the one that Toll put in when they built the homes over by Auburn, and they're not terribly old.
So Huber's okay too?
It's okay too, correct.
And the only thing I got scheduled for the 26 budget for that sewer district is the scrubbers?
Right.
Okay.
So the sewer plant itself was built in 2009. Its design is 750,000 gallons a day. It flows around 350,000 gallons a day. It runs perfectly. It meets all its standards set forth by the state. It was built, it was designed and built very, very well in 2009. It has an odor control system because when it was built, there weren't a lot of homes there, but if you go there now, there's homes all around it. We're fortunate enough where we don't have odor complaints, but the odor control system relies on carbon to remove the odors, and that needs to be upgraded. And the carbon replacement, I've gotten prices somewhere's around $125,000.
Okay.
All right, and that's because of the proximity of the homes. It's something that we should factor into our capital budget, so we replace that. So it's been 2009 to now.
Well, it's going to be in the budget for next year to
Yeah,
complete it.
and additionally to that, we have a grinder that comes in on the system that needs a capital replacement too, but I can do some of that through my O&M budget.
Okay.
So depending on what's in the capital fund, I can do some through the O&M budget.
Understood, thank you.
And just to follow up on that, it's the Orange County or Harriman is building a big upgrade to their plant, and they want to come look at our plant because we've had good luck. And believe me, their plant is 7 million gallons, our plant is 700,000. But, you know, when the way it works in sewage treatment, it's just bigger tanks, and they want to come and look at how we do it, and they want to have all the people there tour through it. So I'll keep everyone up to date when they're coming to look at
Go
it.
check it out.
Yeah.
So the last thing we got about water and sewer is the Dutchess Park Sewer District. So
Right.
just let me, so that was that district going back to the Brickerhoff Water District, basically continuous.
Right,
The guy walked away. Well, the town ended up taking it over. They ran a pipeline down the creek to Beacon.
correct.
All right. So my thoughts are, as I negotiate with the state over downstate, is I want to try to get them to buy us a pipeline to go from the creek up Stony Hill Road, up Cherrywood, to those Toll Brothers houses, where we can connect to our own roundabout plant. So my first question is our roundabout sewer plant, can we expand it to have the capacity for the Dutchess Park Sewer District?
I believe you could. It's a modular plant. It's got 3 tanks. You can add tanks and make it bigger. There's capacity there we're not using now, you know, which costs the other members of the district money, because to run a sewer plant, my firm has to provide, most of the costs are fixed, all right? So I got to have the people there, maintain the equipment the same, whether there's 300,000 gallons or 700,000 gallons. The only difference in cost is sludge disposal, purchase of chemicals, and some other things like that. So if you add to your customer base, that's a lot of those revenues would just help offset the costs to the people that are already there.
And anybody in that sewer district got to understand that the city of Beacon raises our rates probably in the last 5 years, close to 20%. And that would be that would be a rate discount if we did our own combined district.
Right. I mean, instead of paying the city of Beacon, you'd pay yourselves back.
Yes. How many sewer pump stations will we need for a line like that?
You know, it's very hard for me to stand here now and say you would need at least one, obviously, because you got to take the sewage and get it up over the hill. You know, and you'd have to have an engineer look at it. And I would always recommend, you know, the old school of thought was don't put pump stations in, run the pipes deeper or higher, but pump stations shouldn't scare you. But I think you would need at least one.
So 2 would be fair to say?
Yeah, 2, probably.
Do these pump stations cost the same as the water pump stations? If a water pump station is 500, how much is a sewer pump station?
They would be comparable.
Comparable,
yeah,
okay.
Depending on how much flow, how much head they pump against. There's a lot of variables to it. It's hard to give costs right here.
All right, so let's go over the improvements of the Dutchess Park Sewer District since we've been together.
So the Dutchess Park Sewer District as we talked about, the Dutchess Park Sewer District is big, just so everyone understands it, because when you call it the Dutchess Park Sewer District, you think of just the Dutchess Park subdivision and that's it. This town hall is in the Dutchess Park
Yes.
District. I believe the Dutchess Park Sewer District is Walmart's and Sam's is the Dutchess Park Sewer District. So it is the big sewer district, covers a lot of area, takes in a lot of flow. So one of the things we did, we just recently, there's 15, just so you know, there's 15 different pump-up stations for the Dutchess Park pump station.
Oh, boy.
And you completely renovated the Cedar Hills pump station. You put a new generator in for the Forge Brook pump station. You're doing the Fishkill Glen
Hold on a
station.
second, hold on. I want to write this down. So we got 15 pump stations. Cedar Hill has been
The lower Cedar Hill on Hoos Boulevard has been redone,
redone.
the whole thing. And then
Forge Brook
Forge Brook generator and pumps for Forge Brook.
generator and pump. Okay, go on.
And we're in the process of doing Fishkill Glen as we speak. And you purchased a spare pump for the main pumping station.
And what is the main pumping station?
The main pumping station is there at the ball field at Doug Phillips Park. All right? And then what happens to the flow, it pumps up to the force main. Force main runs along the creek. The village pumps some of their flow into that force main, and then Forge Brook pumps also sewage into that force main.
So everything goes to the park, and then it goes to the pipe that goes to Beacon.
Right.
Gotcha.
So you purchased a spare pump for the Dutchess Park pump station, which the pump there I think was $75,000 or $80,000 with the
Okay.
capital funds. And you're also right now the Forge Brook collection system, which is you're part of or over here. For the old timers in Fishkill, that was the onion fields, and it was always nothing but water over there. So the pipes have what they call an inflow and infiltration problem, where the water leaks in, extraneous water gets in, and they're not designed for that, so it robs it of, capacity. So we, through our surveillance of the system, there was 3 manholes over in front of the new hotels where the diner flow comes through, and they were in poor shape, and one of them had a leak in it that was leaking a significant amount of water, even when in these dry conditions. And we just had those manholes, it was a $35,000 project, had the contractor come in and recoat all those manholes, resurface them with fiberglass, and to prevent that leakage.
That's it?
That's it, we've done that.
Okay, so I got a list of things that we have to do to upgrade. So out of these 15 pump stations, are any of them critical?
Well, the Fishkill Glen one is, and when we had the capital budget meeting, I said that, if we had money, you should set aside money aside to do one a year, like $50,000 or $60,000 to go through each one.
All right, so like the Glenham pump up, the Glenham station is $1 million to redo that.
Right.
If we're just fixing pumps, they're 50 grand each?
Yeah, somewhere's around there. Like if you go to do
all right.
the A&P pump station, which is located, which the A&P has, I'm old school, I'm sorry, but the A&P hasn't been there in 30 years, but that's where the Dutchess Park Plaza is.
Yeah, they might want to redo that mall. I'm glad you reminded me. I'm going to have them, whatever conditions I can put
Right,
on that, so redo that.
those type of things. Over the years, we created a situation where the Avionis pump station pumps to the Deer Crossing pump station, which pumps to the A&P pump station, and then that pumps over. So we have a lot of chains, so we got to make sure they're all working right, because they got to take in sewage from the other ones.
But a bad pump for a sewer is not as expensive as the water.
No, because the stations are there, and we have been, the stations aren't like they're not being maintained. We take care of them.
Got
We
it.
send somebody there every day. But there are sometimes you just need a capital replacement. And the technology has changed a lot. So a lot of your pump stations were put in the 80s, and the technology for pumps and handling, disposable wipes and grinders and things has changed a lot.
So what is the Forge Brook bioxide tank? I thought we did that. No?
No, the Forge Brook bioxide tank, you add at two of your pump stations and the village pump station, you add a chemical called bioxide. It's a nitrogen-based chemical. The microorganisms in the sewage utilize that nitrogen and prevents from forming methane, hydrogen sulfide, and methane gases and odors, because it discharges down in the center of Beacon, and the people down there complain. So the bulk bioxide tanks, we have it trucked in, and then we add it with the sewage, so we prevent the formation of those gases. I'm not sure about that capital project.
Okay, we'll revisit that one. All right, so my last question is, I have here Dutchess Park Pump Station, $552,000, engineer to replace a 30-year-old pump station. What is that?
Well, that was a capital project that they were talking about doing was, that station was, the existing Dutchess Park pump station was put in the mid-'80s.
Where is it?
It's down at Doug Phillips Park, all right?
Okay.
And it had, the original designer was a very competent guy, but he designed a lot of bells and whistles and cool ideas that the technology in 1988 couldn't support. So a lot of that has been unhooked, and at some point you would want to go through and look at getting a new control system, different, the technology of today, maybe a different style pumps and things. But again, the existing control system is, if you were to go in there, the variable speed drive in 1988 was the size of the, behind your house, behind where you're sitting right there. If you were to buy one today, it's the size of a chair. Okay. So there's a lot of things that would be different, and we don't use the old variable speeds. So that's an upgrade that you would look at doing, but it's not a short-term emergency type thing.
Can you revisit that and give me an estimate what that really costs?
Yeah, right. I would recommend you and I go through your list that you have there.
Last thing, if we were to get to that point, so after that point, it goes to the creek to Beacon, correct?
Correct.
The affluent?
No, that goes to Beacon. Beacon treats it.
No, I'm sorry. At that point, it goes into a pipe that heads to Beacon. Is that accurate?
Correct.
Do we need something like this if we go straight to Beacon? Is that still needed?
I'm not sure of the question, Ozzy.
Would that be a necessary point if we were going straight to our own?
Oh, your own plant?
Yes.
You would have to just redirect the pipe.
So we might not even need this in the future.
Well, no, you would need this pump station.
That's what I'm asking.
You would need this pump station no matter where you go.
Okay.
No matter where you go.
Thank you, Mr. Tremper. Any board members have any questions for Mr. Tremper?
No, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
So this is where we're at in the town of Fishkill. We're at about water and affluent.
That's right.
So we're digging down into making sure we take everything.
You have made a lot of improvements in your water supply and sewer supply, so you're on the right path, in my opinion. So, and again, everyone here knows me, and if you have any questions on something I said or later you want to ask me, feel free to call me at any time. Thank you for the opportunity to come.
Thank you, Mr. Tremper.
And to meet the Canon person, because that was
Yes.
interesting.
Yeah, make sure that you hit that, what is it called?
Thank you very much, everyone.
YouGov?
Yeah.
Yeah, the YouGov.
Good night.
Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Tremper.
Good night,
Thank you for coming.
you.
All right. So next up is the public hearing on local law to amend the town code by repealing Chapter 11 entitled Private Well Testing. You've heard from our water and sewer guy. Councilwoman Bardini, a while back, proposed to eliminate this law. At the time period, it was needed because there were some surrounding municipalities that were having issues. The law's been on the books for about 19 years. It hasn't stopped not one home sale. There might have been maybe one or two that might have been questionable, but were immediately remediated. These tests cost about $650 to do when you either buy or sell the house. As Mr. Tremper mentioned, this never had anything to do with the PFAS thing, and that would be an additional cost of almost $1,500. So I'm all for opening up the public hearing. Can I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Foreman, all in favor?
Aye.
So this is the public's opportunity to speak about eliminating the well testing law. Mr. Cantor, you're up. Anybody want to speak about this besides Mr. Cantor? No one wants to speak? You don't even have to speak now. Why don't you just... Well, you're in the real estate business. Why don't you explain how it helps the taxpayers, the homeowners?
Every home that is sold in the town of Fishkill that has a well is required today to have an additional test for chemicals that do not exist in our system. All right? We're not saying that people do not have a well test. Guaranteed every home who's sold can't get through their attorney or can't go through anything without having it well tested. But it only needs to be tested for E. coli and some other things. All right? And that costs about $250. And with this additional, everybody has to pay an additional amount of money, which is a waste of money. It also holds up the closing because we can't get from the town the municipals until that is done. And today, if somebody wants to go in and I want to just check my municipals, they're going to say, let's have a well test. This speeds up the whole process, and it's just a waste of money. And the only 3 towns that have it right now in Dutchess County, in the Hudson Valley,
Wappingers and East Fishkill.
Wappingers, East Fishkill, and us. Now, I'm going to say, maybe East Fishkill has their own problems because they did have contamination.
Superfund stuff, yeah.
All right? And I'm going back 19 years ago. All right? Wappingers has not had any. We have not had any. And I'd like to see it removed, and let's move on.
Thank you, Mr. Cantor.
Thank you.
Councilwoman, this was your idea. Can you speak about it?
Yeah, no, thank you for your comments. I went to the website where all these results are, and you can also do the same. There's nothing serious in our water system that requires people to spend this kind of money. I think it interferes with home ownership. Homes are expensive, mortgages are expensive, closings are expensive. So just a little bit of something to help people get into homes, I think, is a good thing. And again, we're not saying don't test the wells, but we don't need to be testing for the chemicals that they might have in East Fishkill, because the certain chemical companies were in the area and, polluted the aquifers. And we've also put in place aquifer protection. We've added aquifer protection laws. And I just think our water's in good shape, and we really, it's time we repeal this law. And I want to thank everybody who supported it. I think it's a good idea, save us all money, and let's do it.
Absolutely.
John, any comments?
I just think there was probably a time when this law was probably a good idea. And over the last 10, 15, 20 years, there just has not been any issues with the water here in Fishkill. Not going to speak for East Fishkill or Wappinger, but I think it's a great idea to get rid of it.
Carmine? I'm Carmine.
Carmine.
Greg, I'm sorry.
Carmine, get in here.
I was
Sorry,
thinking
Greg.
of something witty to say in reply, and I've got nothing. And frankly, there's not much for me to add that hasn't already been said. I'm sure it was a well-intentioned idea when it was done. It's certainly done with public safety in mind, but when more than a decade of evidence suggests that there is no actual cause for this testing to continue, then there's no need for us to mandate it. I'm never in favor of mandates that serve no function. So, by all means, let's get rid of it.
Okay. Anybody else? Anybody else want to speak? Make a motion to close the public hearing. Can I have a second?
Second.
John, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So, Mr. Gabo, what's the next step to do a resolution at the next meeting to,
We'll have a resolution adopting the local law for the next meeting. Yes.
okay. That's done. Okay.
Fantastic.
Thank you, Jackie. Thank you, John. Thank you, Greg.
Thank you, Carmine.
Thank you, Carmine.
Thank you, Carmine.
Introduction of new employees. We don't have any new employees today. Now, next up is privilege of the floor for agenda items. Anything to speak about the town of Fishkill? Mr. Ashworth,
Yes.
the floor is yours.
Okay, again, it's Lance Ashworth, Chairman of the Friends of the Fishkill Supply Depot. I thought I'd pop by tonight and give you a quick status update on the historic Revolutionary War tour of Fishkill, the grant application that we're planning to submit jointly with the town. I pushed a draft over to the town historian, hopefully to your office, earlier this week, Mr. Supervisor. The draft is essentially the language that is going to be submitted with the grant. It's not ready to go quite yet because we're waiting on confirmation from a couple of the static sites, the museum sites, as to whether their hours will be open on the weekend we picked in July of 2026, and if they're willing to take hop-on, hop-off riders from the trolley, and if so, if they'll issue letters of support that will be attached to the grant application. Those really enhance the chances that the grant will be awarded by the Greenways. I do want to call one mulligan. I think the last time I was here, Mr. Rye asked about the approximate cost of the grant. The cost to the town is going to be about $320. And that's basically, we're asking for the town to fill up the trolley. It's gasoline for transiting so far north from Westchester County. There'll be some minor printing costs of brochures. We're going to need about, I think we forecasted like $120 for those, and then another $40 to buy enough waters to offer to people as they hop onto the trolley. Now, the trolley itself costs something in the neighborhood of $62 or $300 to rent for the weekend. But the town is going to give an in-kind match to to make up the difference. Because with this grant, the money that you get for the grant from the Greenways has to be matched by the town, but it doesn't have to be an in-cash match. It can be in-kind. And so the amount of hours that the town historian is going to put into the project from a pay standpoint is going to make up the amount of money. And there's some other things. You can look at the draft application. Those are the highlights. I thought I'd give you each a chance to ask any questions if you have them. We're still on track for submitting by the deadline late October.
And when do you plan on having the trolley operational? Like what?
Right, July 11th and 12th, 2026.
Thank you.
And the stops right now will be the Fishkill Historical Society, obviously the Van Wyck Homestead Museum, the Madam Brett Homestead, because again, this is historic Fishkill, so it takes in bits of Beacon and
That's okay.
East Fishkill.
You got to remember, in 1776, Beacon was Fishkill.
Yes.
So that's ours. All that history is ours, not theirs.
And then the Brinkerhoff House that's in East Fishkill, home to the East Fishkill Historical
That's our
Society.
history too, by the way.
Yeah, that'll be another stop. So, any questions?
Is
We
there-
have really all we
I
need
think
from the
that's-
town. We had the resolution that you put together, that you approved in September, qualifies for submission with the grant, and will make us eligible.
Yeah, when you're almost done, let us know the monetary thing so I can make sure the town attorney reviews it, that we can give you some gas.
Yep.
We'll make sure we do it properly.
Yep.
I was just wondering, is there any interest you think in making this maybe a regular thing, as a historic tourism thing?
Sure. Is
Maybe
the
between
town willing to hire me as a
some-
trolley conductor?
I just, if there's interest in it, and maybe a couple of the municipalities were interested in that, if that's something.
I think
that can continue.
I think our group's position would be, if we had a magic wand and we could do something like
And
this
do more with less.
on a permanent basis, what you would have is a trolley that makes pickups off of Metro North and downtown Beacon and brings all those visitors to Fishkill. Because you have a ton of people who are visiting Beacon and Beacon alone.
Right.
And I think if you could tap into that pool, the historic trolley, which is running to, at least under this concept, which is running to Beacon anyway, if you were to make it permanent, it would be, I think, really something special.
They could bring a lot of commerce to Fishkill,
No question.
and
No question. Those,
some
those people come on
recognition
the
of our
trolley, they got to
history.
eat, they got to, buy souvenirs, they got to do a whole bunch of stuff.
Have you contacted Beacon at all to see if they would participate
You mean
financially?
The town of Beacon?
The city of Beacon.
Well, we're dipping our toe into the water with this particular grant this year. Let's get this one under our belt as a success and then use it as a model that we could shop to other towns.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
Excellent. Have a good night.
Anybody else like to speak? Okay. We already did the, all right, liaison member reports. John, would you like to go first?
Sure. Okay, thank you, everybody, for being here and watching. Thursday, September 18th, I attended a budget meeting with the supervisor, the controller, and Sharon, and Councilman Rye. Saturday, the 20th of September, I attended Slater Palooza at Slater Chemical Fire Department. It was a beautiful evening and very well attended, and the money that is raised at this event goes right back into the community. Sunday the 21st, I attended a Cattoberfest at Hudson Valley Brewery to benefit Mid-Hudson Animal Aid. Friday, September 26th, I attended a wake for John Pagliaro. He is was a resident of Fishkill and a 30-year manager of the Beacon Little League Orioles. So he certainly put his time into Beacon Little League. And Sunday, the 27th, I marched in the Spirit of Beacon Day Parade, and I think half of Beacon attended. That's all.
Thank you, John. Greg?
I'll just keep it very brief. Congratulations again to our fantastic team over at the Rec and Senior Center. Last week was the Feast of San Gennaro, phenomenal event. I've heard wonderful things as always. So thank you to Jay, to Lauren, to Marianne, and to the entire staff over at Rec for another great event.
Jackie?
And the volunteers,
And the
Absolutely.
volunteers.
because they have a lot of volunteers.
Absolutely,
over
that's
there.
why I said the entire team.
Got it.
So as you know, it's budget season. I think it's great. It looks like we're going to have a decrease in taxes. Is that right? 6%?
Easy now.
Possibly.
The promise, my promise to the residents, I don't claim a tax decrease unless it's a real tax decrease. Just because the tax rate goes down, your assessed values go up.
Right.
So, but we're not going to
that's
tell in theory, we probably lower taxes like 30%, but that's not true because your assessed values went up.
Right.
So it should go down a little bit, the tax rate, yes, but your assessed values went up too.
Right.
So the goal of this is not to raise revenue, it's to do the right thing, but the tax rate
And
is going to go
to
down.
maintain
Yes.
below the cap.
Yes.
So I think it's a pretty good budget. Let's see where we go with it. Thank you for correcting me on that. I just wanted to make everybody aware that this is National Pharmacist Month. Being that this is one of my professions, I just wanted to bring it to your attention and let you know how hard we are all working this time of year. If anybody's been in a pharmacy, they know that the lines are getting longer, and that's because people are coming in for immunizations and try to maintain their health. So treat your pharmacists nicely. They're doing the best they can with less and less every year. So thank your pharmacist, and maybe buy them a cup of coffee or something nice to keep them going. And on a personal level, today's my mother's 98th birthday. I spent the day with her, and I wanted to say, Ma, if you're watching, happy birthday. I love you, and thank you for everything you've instilled in me and education that you allowed me to get, and the good life that I've been able to lead, especially living here now in Fishkill. That's all I have.
Well said, Jacqueline. I've talked earlier about the town's infrastructure, and I'm so proud of the town board, John, Jackie, Greg, even Brian.
Brian.
You just can't do this on your own. You need like-minded people on the board that want to invest in our parks, our recreation, our senior center. I was at the San Gennaro Fest, packed house, plenty of food, the Goodwill, our seniors come out, and that's not even including the other component, our recreation staff for the kids. That building, the roof that we recently replaced was, what a pain. It was leaking since it was built. cost over $1 million, it's done. The infrastructure in that building is done. Our police station, our town hall are phenomenal. Our issues are HVAC stuff, heating and cooling, minor stuff. Our sewer plant has the capacity, if I can, I'm gonna run that pipeline and save us a lot of money, to be expanded at a very reasonable cost. And we've probably spent at least $6-7 million on our highway department to bring that up to par. So everything that you have in the town of Fishkill, your rec building, your police department, your town hall, your highway department, your parks, your recreation, is in the top tier in the Hudson Valley. I don't think anybody has everything like we have. That now gives us the opportunity to dig deep into these water and sewer districts, if you have water and sewer. If you don't have water and sewer, you got nothing to worry about. I only have water, I only worry about water. I just fixed my septic tank a little while ago. That's a burden on the homeowner. So that's where we're at in the town of Fishkill. We're in a good pace. We have very little debt. And I thank the residents for putting us all on the board to allow this to happen. We don't have any more presentations. The next discussion is, up for discussion is the canon. We're all good with the canon?
Oh, yeah,
Yes.
To accept it when he asks for it?
absolutely.
Next up is liquor license hold. You guys okay with waiving that?
Yep.
Next up is to do first aid for CPR at the rec building. Everybody okay with that? Next up is to do a budget modification for my thing to add, we're going to start buying the passports. So what we're going to do in the town of Fishkill, our 250th started years ago with the Chief Dimem statute. That was the first salvo into this. The second salvo is the, working with Councilman Rye on the John Bailey monument. That's going to go between the police station and the rec center. Now we're going to do a passport of the town of Fishkill. That's going to highlight all our history. We're going to deliver them, hopefully the board members, employees, we're going to hand deliver them to the residents of Fishkill. You complete the passport, you come to the town hall, and you'll receive a special 250th anniversary town hall pin. And then our final salvo is I'm going to try to get Dutchess Stadium to get both Beacon High School and Beacon City School District and Wapton School District to get kids to speak about all our historical documents, and ending when it gets dark with the Declaration of Independence, and we have a fireworks display, and we celebrate our 250th pretty spectacular. So everybody okay with that? Mm-hmm. Next up is our town attorney is retiring, and we have to find a new one. So we're going to go put this out for bid. Any questions on that?
No?
Next up is Joe is going to move to Florida, and I want to replace him with the tax receiver. Any questions on that?
No.
Next up is a resolution to propose law to amend Chapter 29 of the Town Code. We're going to table that, Mr. Gaba?
Yeah, we've received some proposed revisions to the draft law from Labor Council at Shaw Promon, and I think it's a good idea if we just provide you with a revised draft for the next meeting rather than trying to amend it and set a public hearing tonight. So
Make it cleaner.
I would table it until the next meeting.
Okay. Next up is discussion to levy the unpaid water and sewer district charges. That's routine every year. So basically, if you don't pay your water bill, it goes on your tax bill. That's the gist of that. Next up is privilege of the floor for anything that we spoke about on the agenda. Anybody want to speak about the agenda items?
Please, not everyone all at once.
Kevin McCarthy, nothing?
Nothing?
Carmine, you in the back.
Next up is the consent agenda. I do have to amend it to take out number 8. So I'll make a motion to amend the consent agenda to remove number 8. Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next up, I'll make an,
Supervisor, we now need to adopt it.
That was just to amend it.
That was just to
That was
amend
just
it.
to amend it, so now we just need to adopt it.
Yes, yes. Next up is to make a motion to adopt the amended consent agenda. Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 We have no items for special consideration. New and old business. John, anything?
No, other than going back to what, we were talking about, the infrastructure improvements.
Yeah.
We've had the opportunity to interview a lot of candidates for police chief, and a lot of the candidates who we met with have all been very impressed with our police department.
Thank
Well,
you,
they
John.
should be.
It's nice
Greg?
to get positive remarks.
Thank you, John. Greg?
Nothing other than if you're a Yankee fan, I'm jealous of you, and I hope they do well.
3-3, bottom of the seventh.
I'm a
Yep.
Met, I'm a Met fan rooting for the Yankees. Go on, Jackie.
Yankee fan here from the Bronx, so, no, I don't have anything else.
Okay, new and old business. So our next town board meeting is October
Ozzy,
15th.
Ozzy, one thing on that. In terms of the town board approving the tentative budget as the preliminary
Yes.
budget and setting a public hearing on it, there isn't a formal written resolution. I'm not sure exactly where you are in the process, but if the board has reviewed the tentative budget.
Yeah, I
and is-
just submitted it yesterday to the town clerk. I'd like to move on it as quick as possible.
Well, is the board prepared tonight to adopt the tentative budget as the preliminary budget and set the public hearing?
Do we vote on that?
Yeah.
Can you can you say it and I'll make the
Does the
motion?
board want to do that, though?
Would you like to do that?
I'm okay with that.
We should be moving
Yeah.
forward with this as soon as possible, yes.
Okay, very
Okay.
good. So
So-
then what I'd recommend is that the board, you okay, Becky? Is there a problem? I know I'm throwing a lot of stuff at you, I apologize.
They've been.
Probably
so-
going to hear about it later. but-
Listen, Cooper and Becky have been very busy this week, and
I
I
know.
commend their work ethic. They've been working very hard.
I appreciate that, especially at budget time, but I'll keep this short. So what I'd recommend is a motion for the town board to accept the tentative budget as the preliminary budget and to set a public hearing on it for, you have to do it by the
November-
Thursday after
What's the first
election
meeting in
day.
November, Cooper?
November 5th.
November 5th.
That would be just fine for
That's the
November.
public hearing on the budget,
On the preliminary budget, yes.
preliminary budget.
So if someone would make that motion,
I'll make the motion. Can I have a second?
I'll second.
And we're done with that, so the
all
public.
in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
There you go. So now the public hearing on the preliminary budget will be for November 5th, I believe you said?
Yes.
And you'll have to send out the notices of that and publish it and all
And
that.
then we have the public hearing close on it, we can vote on it.
Exactly right. Unless there are any changes, then you'd make motion for changes after them, and then you'd
Gotcha.
adopt it with any revisions.
So we're going to vote on the budget on the 5th as well?
You can if you want, or you don't have to. It's
can.
up to you. You can
Okay.
put it off if you have.
Or the 19th?
No, yeah, we have to do it before the 19th. It has to be done before Thanksgiving for us.
Yeah,
So if we make any changes, we'll just make them here.
Yeah.
No big deal.
Yeah.
Next town board meeting is October 15th. We are going to go into executive session to speak, as Councilman Foreman said. We have a vacancy for police chief. I probably got close to about 25, 30 applications. Me and John and Mr. Rye, have probably interviewed about 8. You said about 8 people?
Yep.
And we've got it down to 3, so tonight we're going to discuss that. So that's the reason for going to the executive session.
Can I add
Yeah.
a subject to talk about in
Sure.
executive session? To discuss employment history of a particular employee.
Is that good, Mr. Gaba, as a reason?
That should be sufficient. Do you want to say what department or no?
Please.
In the police department. Very good.
Okay. So I'll make a motion to leave the regular order of business and go into executive session. Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good night, everyone.